Hello everyone, my name is Shivajit and today we will be discussing about one more problem solving uh, on useState hook. So this is the second video of this series solving the useState hook problems. Hope you will find it interesting and learn a lot from this. Okay, so let's get started. Let me show you the UI first on which we are working with. So we have a score button and we have a plus so we have a score which is 10 here and we have a button for +1 pressing on which we can increment this score. We have this input text box first name and for last name. Okay, this is our basic UI. Now coming to the component, we have a state variable. Okay, so I would highly recommend you to watch the useState video. That will be really helpful. It's present in the channel for 5 minutes, I think it is. So you can just watch it and come back and continue. Okay. So here we have a player state variable, and that is actually initialized with an object. Okay. Now this object has a first name, has a last name, and a score. So the initial value of this player is this whole object. Okay. I hope you understand this. Now on the UI, I have shown, we have a button for the increment of this player's score. We have this first name input and we have this last name input. So these three parts are actually the three parts present inside the object of the player state, which is the first name for the first name input, last name for the last name input box, and a score which is for related to this button. Okay, on this button click, the score will increment by 1. So let's go one by one. So for the score part, okay, so this is the thing. Now I want to show you what errors are present in this. So if you click on this, let's say I click it for 4 times, no score change has happened. But the moment I change the name to something else, you see the score 10 plus 4, that 4 times I have clicked, 14 has occurred out of nowhere. And then if I try to change this last name, it shows me an error. It shows me a warning. Okay, a component is changing a control input to be uncontrolled. This is likely caused by value changing from a value defined to undefined. We will see what is happening here. But first we need to see, and you can see that this score is also not there now. That is one more issue. So addressing all these issues, let's go to the component and see that. So whenever we click this button, there is an issue. Okay, whenever the last name is changed, there is an issue. But the first name was working properly, right? So let's see each of them one by one. Handle plus click. So if you see that here we need to increment the score by 1, but how you have done it might be wrong. You can pause the video and guess what is the issue. Okay, so the issue here is they are actually incrementing the state variable directly. Direct mutation of state variable is not allowed. You actually need to store it in some other variable and then update the state. If it is either of objects, arrays, or functions, that is non-primitive types, then you need to do it in this way. You cannot just directly mutate. So player is an object, right? This player state variable is an object having first name, last name, and score. You can't change the player dot score plus plus like that. Okay, how you need to change the player state variable is you actually need to set it with the help of set player method, and inside the set player method you will be actually passing a whole new object in which the first name will be carrying the previous value of first name, the last name will be carrying the previous value of last name, but the score will be incremented by 1 from the previous value. How can we achieve that? Okay, if you know a little bit of JavaScript, then you might know about how to copy an object into another object, and this will contain a new reference variable, that is a completely new object having the same contents but having a different reference variable, that is this object is pointing to somewhere else. It has a different memory location, you can say. So const new player is equals to dot dot dot. Now here the new player will have the same three things. The only difference is the new player is not equal to the player reference variable now. They are two different objects having the same content but having different reference variables. I hope you understand that. Okay. Now what we need to do? We need to change the score plus plus. So now we have incremented the score to new player dot score plus plus. This is valid and this is invalid. And we also need to set the player to this new player. So that we have done. This is one way of doing it. If you want to do it in a single line, then you can just do this, setting player to a new object. This is the player, and making the score to player dot score plus 1. This is one more way. This is the shorter way, but for beginners I recommend this method because it's easier to understand. If you see here also, the same thing is happening. Inside the set player we have an object, and that object is created by spreading the player object and then changing the score to player dot score plus 1. So basically what we are setting inside the set player, that is actually the player, which is these two things as it is. These, okay, these two things as it is, and the score to score plus 1, 11. So this is actually we are setting to the set player. I hope you have understood that. Okay. Now set player is done. Handle plus click is now resolved. Handle first name change. Okay, so handle first name change. So whenever we are changing the first name inside the input text box, this handle first name change is called, and this handle first name change is setting the player to the previous player and changing only the first name to the e dot target dot value. So e dot target dot value will contain the will actually contain whatever is present inside the input text box. So the present value inside the input text box, the first name will be updated with that, and you can see the same structure what we have used here is what we have used inside this handle plus click. Because whenever we are dealing with objects, setting uh, happens in objects in this way only, spreading it and then changing that key value pair which you want, or else you can store it in a new variable by spreading it out and then changing that variable. So that is also fine, but this is a shorter method. This is a long but easier to understand. Okay, now we have handle last name change. If you see that handle last name change set player we are doing, but we are setting the player only to the last name. it means that the count and the first name are gone only. They are not at all here inside the object. So what we need to do here, dot 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 player. So it will retain all the other key value pairs other than the last name, that is the first name as well as the score, and only it will change the last name with the e dot target dot value, whatever we have typed here inside this last name input element. So this actually completes all these three: handle plus click, handle first name change, handle last name change, and this works. Let's see. Let me refresh this part. Okay, now when you press this, can you see the score is incrementing whenever you click this? Shubhajit, this is also fine. Adhikari, so everything is working fine. Okay. Okay, so I should also show you this after commenting out this, right? This method also you should be able to see that everything is working properly. Can you see? Everything is working properly with that also. That is a bit longer method. Whoever has practiced it for long, they can actually skip this method and can use this one, which we have used in the other two ones. So I hope you are able to understand this. It's quite interesting. Thanks a lot, guys. If you have any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Bye bye.